Hello everyone, welcome to Edge Time. Today we have a product here from Mossy Oak. Now I want to start this unboxing and overview by saying that this was sent to me by Mossy Oak. Mossy Oak reached out to me, or rather Great Star, that's the parent company for Mossy Oak and several other tool companies. They reached out to me asking me to check out some of their products just to, I guess, build hype around them for like the Black Friday, Cyber Monday season. So yeah, I believe it's Cyber Monday. Anyway, like Black Friday and stuff. So yeah, they sent me this. This is a folding saw, and they also sent me a couple knives. So yeah, I told them this, and I'm going to tell you all this as well. I'm going to be completely fair and unbiased in these overviews and reviews that I do of these. I'm not going to do the reviews until I've had time to use and test them. But I'm going to be thorough. I'm going to be fair. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything about them. I'm going to point out the bad things about them. But I'm also not going to be unnecessarily harsh towards them. I will admit that Mossy Oak is not the first name that I associate with high quality, but I also don't recall ever owning a Mossy Oak. Well, I don't know. I don't think I've owned a Mossy Oak saw. I may have had a Mossy Oak knife at some point. I'm not sure actually, but yeah, I'm not going to overhype these. I'm not going to pretend that these are something that they aren't, but I'm also not going to just toss them out the window as trash because they say Mossy Oak. So if that makes any sense, what I'm saying is I'm not a, people like to use this term, I'm not a paid shill for Mossy Oak. They just sent me this stuff and said, check it out, and I said, okay. So that's what I will do. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is the folding saw. Getting into this with the Hinderer Eclipse. And that's, if I was a paid shill for Mossy Oak, this review would probably look something more like this. Forget Hinderer. This is the best. No, I love my Hinderer. I'm just checking these out because Mossy Oak sent them to me. Okay, so here's our instructions and stuff. I already usually know how a folding saw works, so I'm just going to go and get into it. This one comes with 3 blades, one for wood, one for metal, one for PVC. Ooh, nice. So this, I think it should come with the pruning blade on it. Yeah, comes with the pruning blade installed. Yep, nice lockout there. And I think it also, yeah, it also goes up to like a 45 degree. Doesn't look like it locks in the 45 degree. Other saws, I think, do lock out in 45, but I think you can use this to tighten it down to where it won't move out of that 45 degree, at least not too bad. So yeah, and I think this is also how you're supposed to change the blade. Okay, so that doesn't really take much of the tension out of the blade, adjusting that. I think that's just like the way you're supposed to change it out. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Locks closed. The teeth won't come out, which is nice. I hate it when the teeth will come out of, when like the teeth will be exposed in the closed position. It drives me insane. So it doesn't do that. The teeth are reasonably sharp. Honestly, like, this will probably work. I'm going to do an actual review of this at some point where I actually cut stuff with it. But this is just a quick overview, seeing what you get. So, yeah, like, I don't really... These aren't super aggressive teeth. They don't really seem to be sharpened, per se. So you're probably going to just have more of a ripping action, but I don't know. I haven't tested it yet. It could cut well. I'm just not sure. It's definitely not... I mean, I think this saw costs, what, maybe $15, so it's not going to be on the same level as like a Corona or a Silky. But I think it should work. Let's go ahead and check out these other blades that it comes with. I do use saws somewhat, well, I wouldn't say somewhat regularly. I do use saws, I'm just not a saw expert. Okay, now this, however, does seem to be a pretty good metal blade. This is basically just a big hacksaw blade. I think I might saw metal more than I saw wood. Well, it depends. Like, honestly, like, when I'm pruning stuff, a lot of the stuff that I prune is too small to merit a saw, so I just use, like, loppers or something. But, which is funny, being a landscaper, you'd think I'd use a saw more, but, yeah, but I do use metal saws somewhat frequently. Not as frequently as I used to. I used to do more metal type stuff. But yeah, this seems like a good metal blade. Really, I think it's like 18 TPI, I want to say. And it's just basically a big hacksaw blade. So yeah, there's no reason this shouldn't work. It seems just fine to me. And then this should be our Okay, no, I think I was, well, was I wrong though? Like, I think this is supposed to be the pruning blade, but I think this would do pretty well pruning as well. I think this is supposed to be the PVC blade, the blade that you cut PVC pipe with. But like this one is sharpened quite well. I mean, as far as it goes, it's yeah the it's got a much finer TPI, which is what makes me think that it's the PVC blade. But it's like it's actually the teeth are actually ground. Like the teeth actually have edges on them, as you can see there. Whereas on the pruning blade, they do not. But yeah, I mean, this is probably deliberate. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't just an oversight on the side of Mossy Oak here. So yeah, pretty cool. You know what? I will actually. I'm not going to be able to just get up and take my camera outside and cut stuff, but I will include a separate video as part of this video showing how these different blades cut. Hello everyone, so we're out here in the woods. I've got the Mossy Oak saw that Mossy Oak sent to me. Right now I have the wood blade on it, and I just wanted to give a quick demonstration of how it cuts. I'm probably going to do a cut with this pruning blade, pruning or wood blade, and then also I'm going to try out the PVC blade on wood and see how it works. So let's get right into it here. And keep in mind that this is dry cedar, which is not it's not particularly soft. So if you are cutting actual fresh green wood, it will be considerably easier than this. Okay, there we go. So went right through that cedar, no issues. This is, oh goodness, this would be, give me just 1 second here to remember its scientific name. Okay, this is Juniperus virginiana, which is the eastern red cedar. So yeah, it's just our native juniper around here. It's a primary succession tree. You will run into it a lot in the woods around here. So yeah, went right through that, no problem with the pruning blade, which is good, because I mean pruning blades, obviously sometimes you're going to be pruning off dead wood, but this is really meant for green wood. So considering that, it did pretty well. Let's go ahead and take this blade off of here and try out the PVC blade on wood. I don't expect this to do nearly as well, just because this blade is obviously meant for PVC, but I don't know, maybe it'll do just fine. Okay, so I think that the PVC blade, oh my goodness. Okay, that was my fault. That was not the saw failing, that was user error. So let me correct that user error real fast. So yeah, I think the PVC blade actually went through that better than the pruning blade, so that's pretty cool. Come on. All that happened there was that's not an angle that the saw is supposed to be hit at, so it just dislodged the blade, which is totally fine. And I didn't have I didn't have this tightened down all the way. So I mean, that was completely my fault. That was not a problem with the saw in the lightest. All right, there we go. Now if I do that, yeah, no issue. Well, won't stick, but that's because it's not what it's meant to do. So yeah, definitely I think that if you're going to be cutting dry wood, I would go with the PVC blade. But if you're going to be cutting sapwood, green wood, I would go with the pruning blade. But yeah, definitely not bad at all. I will definitely be keeping this saw with me when I'm doing my landscaping type stuff, and it'll come in really handy, I'm sure. Yeah, not much more to say about this thing. It's pretty cool. It comes with this. It does come with this nice belt pouch sort of thing, so you could carry the whole thing on your belt if you wanted to, which is kind of nice. Honestly, there probably wouldn't be very many outdoor situations that you would need all three of these blades. But if you were like a contractor, for example, who just did a lot of different things, if you did some sheet metal type stuff and then also plumbing and carpentry, you know, this would be an okay jack of all trades. Like I would probably carry something different. And, but yeah, what this saw will probably do with me is it will most likely, this whole kit will probably ride with me in the truck whenever I am landscaping, just because this is actually a pretty decent setup for landscaping, honestly. This is probably the best thing this is for, is landscaping, because you have a blade intended for wood. You can cut saplings, stuff like that, trim trees if you have to. You have plenty of room. You could get through a decent sized branch with this. You cut roots as well if you're trying to remove a shrub, which is always a pain. And then if you have to deal with irrigation, which is equally a pain, you have this nice PVC blade, and I think you could use this for wood too. Like this would probably be a better crosscut blade because it's really nice and sharp. Probably like if you were, usually like a rip saw will have coarser teeth than a crosscut saw, so if you're gonna rip, I would rip with this one, crosscut with this one, but I wouldn't rip with any of these just because it's not an easy thing to do with a saw of this type. And then back to the landscaping theme, there are some situations in which you need a metal blade with landscaping, primarily like if you're repairing equipment. So like if I'm using a dingo and something breaks on it. Now if I have to wield a hacksaw on a dingo, then I should probably rethink what I'm doing, but it is possible. So yeah, this will honestly probably ride with me in the truck whenever I'm landscaping, or like in my cooler or something, so that I don't forget it. But yeah, pretty cool. So far, I do like this. This is a rubberized handle, and like I said, I'm not a saw expert, so there's not a whole lot to say about this. But yeah, I will be using it on my landscaping jobs. I will be testing it out, and I will let you all know how it performs. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all found this unboxing and overview helpful and informative and entertaining. And make sure to check out my other overviews. I have a lot of overviews, reviews. I do some disassembly, stuff like that. So once again, thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day.